I stopped believing in people when I was 23. The world had shown me its cruelty so many times that kindness felt like a myth, like something that only existed in movies or motivational posters. But then 5 strangers appeared in my life. 5 people who had absolutely no reason to help me. And they restored something I thought was gone forever, my faith in humanity. This is their story. Story 1, the grocery store. Woman. It started on a Tuesday morning in a grocery store parking lot. I was 23, completely broke, living in my car. I'd just been fired from my job for missing too many shifts because I was sleeping in parking lots and couldn't always make it on time. I had $12 to my name, $12 to buy food that would last me until I figured out my next move. I walked through that store like I was doing math homework, calculating every single item. A loaf of bread, $1. Peanut butter, $3. A gallon of water, $2. I got to the register. The cashier scanned everything. $13.57. My heart sank. I'd miscalculated. I started putting items back, my hands shaking, people in line behind me sighing with impatience. The cashier looked annoyed. I felt like the smallest person in the world. Then the woman behind me stepped forward. She was maybe 60 years old, wearing a simple dress, carrying a worn purse. She tapped her card on the reader before I could stop her. "Wait, no," I started. She smiled. "When I was your age, someone did this for me at a gas station. I was broke, alone, pregnant. A stranger filled my tank and told me to pass it on when I could. So I've been doing this for 30 years. One day when you can, you'll do it for someone else." She left before I could even thank her properly. That woman had no idea she was feeding someone living in their car. She just saw someone struggling and helped. No questions, no judgment, just pure, unconditional kindness. I stood in that parking lot crying, holding my grocery bag like it was treasure. And for the first time in months, I felt like maybe the world wasn't completely heartless. If someone has ever helped you when you had nothing, hit that like button right now. Because these stories, they're not just mine, they're ours. And your kindness is coming back to you in ways you can't even imagine yet. Story 2. The night shift nurse. 6 months later, I was still struggling. I'd gotten a job, found a tiny studio apartment, but I was barely surviving. One night, I had a panic attack so severe I thought I was dying. Heart racing, couldn't breathe, vision blurring. I called 911. They took me to the ER, ran tests. Everything came back normal. "It's anxiety," the doctor said, handing me a prescription I couldn't afford. He left. I sat there on that hospital bed, feeling stupid and broken, crying because I just wasted money I didn't have on an ambulance ride for a panic attack. Then a nurse named Maria came in. She wasn't assigned to me. She was on her break. But she'd heard me crying from the hallway. She sat down next to me. Didn't say anything at first. Just sat there. Finally, she spoke. I used to get panic attacks like that. Thought I was dying every single time. It took me 2 years to learn they were just anxiety. She reached into her bag and pulled out a book. This helped me more than any medication ever did. Keep it. It was a book on managing anxiety, with pages dog-eared and highlighted. Her personal copy. "But this is yours," I tried to give it back. "And now it's yours," she said. "Someone gave me their copy years ago. That's how this works. We pass on what saved us." Before she left, she hugged me. A real hug. The kind that says, "You're not alone." That book taught me breathing techniques, grounding exercises, and ways to manage panic attacks without medication I couldn't afford. It literally changed my life. Maria had no obligation to give me anything. She was on her break. She could have walked past my room. But she chose to stop. She chose to care. And that choice saved me from years of suffering in silence. Story 3. The bus driver. A year passed. Things got a little better. I was working full-time, paying my bills, slowly rebuilding, but I was exhausted. Working 10-hour shifts, taking the bus home every night at 11 p.m., barely surviving. One night, I fell asleep on the bus, completely passed out from exhaustion. When I woke up, the bus was empty. Parked, engine off. I panicked, looked around. The bus driver, an older man named Robert, was sitting in the front seat reading a newspaper. "What? Where are we?" He turned around and smiled. "We're at the depot. You missed your stop by about 40 minutes. You were sleeping so hard I didn't want to wake you. Figured you needed the rest." I was mortified. "I'm so sorry, I'll get off." "Relax," he said. "I'm about to drive back on my route anyway. I'll drop you at your stop." He drove me back. 20 minutes out of his way. After his shift was over. When I got off, I tried to thank him. He waved it off. "I've been where you are. Working yourself to death just to survive. Sometimes sleep is more important than being on time." As I walked home that night, I realized something. Robert could have woken me up. It could have made me get off at the depot and figure it out myself. Could have been annoyed. Instead, he let me sleep. Protected my rest like it mattered. Because to him, it did. Subscribe right now if these stories are hitting different. Because what I'm about to tell you next, It's the moment everything changed. The moment I realized why these people kept appearing in my life. Story 4. The Library Security Guard. 2 years later, I was in college. Finally, working toward a degree, trying to build a better life. But I was still struggling financially. Still working full-time while taking classes. Still exhausted. I'd study in the library until closing every single night. The security guard, an older woman named Dorothy, would do her rounds at 11 p.m. before locking up. One night, she found me crying at a table, surrounded by textbooks. Finals week. I just failed a practice exam and was convinced I was going to fail out of school. She sat down across from me. "What's wrong, baby?" I broke down, told her everything. I was working 40 hours a week, how I'd barely slept in days. I felt like I was drowning. She listened. Didn't interrupt. Just listened. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You know what separates people who make it from people who don't? It's not about talent or money. It's about the people who keep pushing through. And you? You're still here. You got this." She started staying late with me during finals week, bringing me coffee, checking in on me, reminding me to take breaks. When I graduated 2 years later, she was in the audience. I hadn't invited her. She just showed up, with flowers. "I told you you'd make it," she said, hugging me tight. Dorothy didn't have to care about some random struggling student. But she did. She saw me. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Story 5. The Revelation. The last person who restored my faith wasn't a stranger. It was someone who'd been there all along. My mom. See, growing up, I thought my mom didn't care. She worked constantly, was never home. I felt neglected, forgotten. But after I graduated college, I found something. A box in her closet, bank statements, letters. She'd been working 3 jobs my entire childhood, saving every penny for my college fund, the fund that paid for my degree, the degree that changed my life. All those nights I thought she didn't care. She was working the night shift so I could have a future. I confronted her crying. "Why didn't you tell me?" She smiled. "Because kids shouldn't have to worry about money. That's my job." My mom sacrificed her entire life so I could have a chance. And I never knew. These 5 people, the grocery store woman, Nurse Maria, Robert the bus driver, Dorothy, the security guard, and my mom didn't just help me survive. They restored something I thought was gone forever. They reminded me that kindness exists, that people still care, that humanity isn't dead, it's just quiet. It's in grocery store lines and hospital hallways, and late-night bus rides and library study rooms, and mothers working 3 jobs in silence. If this story moved you, drop a comment with the name of someone who restored your faith in humanity. Let's build a space where kindness isn't rare, it's celebrated. This is Victory Forge, where stories forge strength. Subscribe, share, and remember, the world is full of people like this. You just have to notice them, and maybe one day become one of them.